Seemingly everything is done in the cloud these days, but Anne, you believe we're just at the beginning of the cloud's potential. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, almost every enterprise in the world is in the midst of what they call a digital transformation. And that transformation includes the way they engage with all of their stakeholders, customers, employees, whatever, but it also includes all the infrastructure that supports that upfront engagement. And all of that is moving to the cloud. If we look at these companies and where they are on their digital transformations, this is a continuous process. It never stops. So it is not a one-time project. And second, most companies are only about a third of the way on their first phase of this. So what we have looked at is the changing business model. When we first started as a venture capital firm in the early 90s, people had perpetual licenses, meaning that if you bought software from me, you paid me once. You might pay me a small amount annually as a maintenance fee. But now people have an ongoing relation with the customer in a subscription revenue basis. That's called the SaaS model, meaning I might pay monthly or annually. I amortize that on my accounting books over 12 months, but I have a continual billing and engagement cycle with the customer. That's a much better business model than what I'll call the old hit and run model. Get a lot of money from the customer, go on to the next one. So we look at companies that can deliver not only initial value to the customer, but can land and expand that value.
So what's your take on the growth versus profitability debate?
The market spoke last year and this year and said growth at all costs is not a valid business model. Last year there was about $130 billion invested in the US. Only $10 billion of that went to brand new companies. The rest went to later stage deals. The abundance of capital has been at the far end of companies, not the beginning, over the last 8 years. 50% of the deals done last year were $50 million deals or greater in the US. So abundance of capital at any stage, this happened in '99, abundance of capital at the beginning stage is not a good thing. It means that capital will be abused, which it has been. Growth is important. The market still values growth, and companies that are both growing and have a valid business model. What does a valid business model mean? It means you can actually articulate your path to profitability.
Let's say you're a successful startup. When do you know it's the right time to exit?
So when you want to go public is when you really have predictable metrics. Your renewal rates are greater than 100%. When you go back to re-sign the contract with customers, are they buying not just what they bought yesterday, but buying more? So renewal rates of great companies ready to go public are greater than 100%. Is your CAC, or customer acquisition cost, in line with your marketing spend? Or are you trying to buy the market still? Can you predict what your revenue will be? Do you have an organization where you say, hey, I know what my sales organization can perform. I know what I need to spend on marketing. So when I go out there and tell the public investor what my business model is and what my likely growth, revenue, and earnings will be, will I have a high likelihood of not just guessing, but pretty much predicting that? So reliability in your performance is really key for being a public company.
If you're a founder operating outside of Silicon Valley, what do you need to do to compete in this marketplace?
I think you have to think global. You have to think about where you would go, where you might incorporate, and you have to think ahead. It's not just about that first round. This is, of course, the bigger challenges for companies further away from Silicon Valley, is they might be able to get that seed round and maybe even that A round, but they're going to need a B round. Most companies are not even acquired. 80% of acquisitions are done after the C round. So it's again, not a one-shot deal to get A funding. It's how do you keep your company funded through growth